Okay, so good morning, and thank you for taking time to join us this morning. I'm Helene Castletine. I'm the Economic Development Director with the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, and this is the second of our two-part series about becoming the employer of choice. So we'll hear from our friends at CareerSource today, and I think we'll get some really good info from them. So before we do, though, just of course, you know that the meeting is being recorded, and the audio portion of the meeting will be uploaded to our Indian River Economic Development website, which is indianrivered.com. It's right at the top of the homepage. So the recording and any kind of visuals will be uploaded to that website this afternoon. And when we're finished with the presentation, we'll take your questions. This is set up as a Zoom meeting. It's not a webinar. So if you're not speaking, if you could, put yourself on mute, but remember that if you are going to speak, remember to unmute. I know I have a hard time with that. So anyway, at this point, what I'm going to do is turn this over to Bill Penny, who will be our MC. Bill is the president and CEO of Marine Bank and Trust here in Vero Beach. He also chairs our Economic Development Leadership Alliance, an investor program for economic development. So with that, Bill, I'm going to give you the screen and take it away.
Thank you, Elaine, and thanks everybody for tuning into this. In my role as a business-oriented bank, we hear over and over from our customers how hard it is to find and retain good employees in this economic times that we're in. So we thought this webinar might be of some value to everybody. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the Chamber and our economic activities. The Indian River County Chamber of Commerce is a designated agency for economic development on behalf of the Indian River County Board of County Commissioners. The goal is job creation plus an expanded and diversified tax base with full-time jobs and benefits better or over the county average of $43,000. And you may say, Bill, we can't find any employees right now. Why are you trying to add jobs? And I would respond to that. This is a long game. We are trying to add good jobs over the long run. So we have good paying jobs for our employees, and including I've had 3 kids and 2 of them moved away because there just weren't as many good jobs here as there were in other places. So we want your kids to stay locally if they choose to. So how do we accomplish those goals? It's business attraction, and then retention and expansion of existing firms, and some small business development entrepreneurship programs to help small businesses grow. A good portion of the economic development budget is funded by our county commissioners, but we also have a part that's funded privately, and that's through the Economic Development Leadership Alliance, which is an opportunity for local businesses to invest in economic development. And these funds are solely used for the purposes of recruiting and expanding and retaining good industry jobs in Indian River County. So I'd urge you to join us here at Marine Bank and others to help fund economic growth. Could be jobs for your kids in the future. A couple quick notable successes we'd like to mention. Diamond Drinks, which is a Pennsylvania-based fruit juice manufacturer, just announced a second location in Vero Beach, and that will be adding 50 jobs. And Impact Corp, which expanded its California operations to Sebastian, and they make specialty packaging for the medical industry. About 40 new jobs for that. So those are a couple of success stories. So let's move on to the program, and I'm going to introduce our speakers. The first is Andra Cornelius, is the Senior Vice President of Business, Workforce, and Development for CareerSource Florida, which is a nonprofit public-private workforce policy board charged with developing strategies and policies for Florida in its workplace, and meeting helping businesses create jobs, and then finding the employees, the highly skilled talent to fill those jobs. Since beginning her tenure with Florida's workforce system in 1999, Ms. Cornelius has been instrumental in the provision over $324 million in awarded grants, which is been used to train 365,000 jobs for Floridians. So, wow, Andrea, those are some big numbers, and we want to hear more about it. But first, I want to let everybody know she's a native Floridian with family roots dating back to the early 1900s and a 47-year small business ownership legacy within her own family. So she understands the trials and tribulations of small business ownership. Also, we're fortunate to have with us Brian Bauer. Brian is the president and CEO of our local CareerSource Research Coast, which is one of 24 local workforce development boards within the CareerSource Florida network. With his 20 years of experience in managing and working in workforce development, Mr. Bauer dedicates his time to many organizations with overarching objectives, including but not limited to the Treasure Coast Manufacturers Association, the Indian River County Economic Development Council, and the Economic Development Council of St. Lucie County. And Mr. Bauer received a Bachelor of Science degree from Bradley University. So Brian and Andrea, welcome to Vero Beach, and we want to hear what you have to say. I'll turn it over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bill, and good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Andra Cornelius, and I have the pleasure of serving as Senior Vice President for Business and Workforce Development at CareerSource Florida. As a certified economic developer, I get to stick my toe in both camps, both workforce and economic development. I must say, it has been a wonderful career thinking about all the businesses and job seekers that we've helped through the CareerSource Florida network. Bill, your introduction was so kind and wonderful. And I want to thank you for your leadership as the volunteer chair for the economic development organization there, the Chamber. Volunteers like you and your leadership are critical to our roles and responsibilities as we try to not only retain, but help existing businesses grow jobs and also attract those great jobs that you've mentioned to our state. And I've got to thank my long-term friend and colleague, fellow economic developer, Helene Castletine, for inviting us to be a part of this exciting series on how to be the employer of choice to attract and keep the ideal job candidate. I plan to go through just a few introductory slides about my organization and the CareerSource Florida network, and then pose a few questions to my colleague, Brian Bauer. Questions that are quite relevant to this meeting's theme. And for those listening in, think about your own questions as well, because we want to save time at the end to hear from you. So before I dive in, Brian, tell us a little more about yourself, your organization, and any other important facts that we should know about you, besides yourself being a star golfer.
Well, thank you, Andra. I appreciate that. And Bill, I too echo the kind introduction this morning. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to speak with everybody here today, along with my partner, Andra, and my friends in Indian River County. I have worked with many of you. I sit on Helene's board, and I thoroughly enjoy the opportunities that we have there in Indian River County. As mentioned earlier, I serve on the CareerSource Research Coast board to where we serve Indian River, St. Lucie, and Martin counties. So we have 3 counties that are under our purview in our local workforce development area. Each county is different, but yet the same. Each county has their own economic different diversities, but what we're finding is for us to be successful on the Research Coast, or I'll use the Treasure Coast, we all need to stop looking at those imaginary lines of each county. We really need to start looking at things from a regional perspective, and all 3 counties combined when it comes to the workforce development pipeline, the talent pool, and how we can best serve all of our employers, those employers in Indian River County, of course, but making sure that we have the proper talent pipeline here available for them and have the tools necessary for them to be successful. Because if they're successful, our counties are successful. And if our counties are successful, it's a great place to live. So thank you, and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Brian. And if we could go to the next slide, please. Again, this discussion is so very timely. Just 2 weeks ago, the Florida Chamber Foundation held its Learners to Earners Summit focused on talent development. And our friend and CEO, Mark Wilson, has affirmed many times that Florida's future prosperity and economic strength will be based on our ability to develop our workforce. And that will enable companies that employ fellow Floridians to be competitive and enable them to take care of themselves and their families. The goal is to help at least 80% of Floridians have employability skills by 2030. So let's consider what are essential employability skills. There are skills like communication, listening, reading, writing, speaking, observing supervision and instruction, customer service skills, problem solving. Skills that I learned very early at my entry-level job at the movie theater and continued on when I was a cashier at Publix Store 150 in Tallahassee. I had to learn very early how to diffuse customers who were unhappy with services and hopefully turn them around. This slide, updated since the event 2 weeks ago, shows the astounding progress Florida has made under Governor Ron DeSantis in reopening our state. And although we are open for business and have been much longer than many other states in our country, there are 512,900 open jobs looking for people to fill them, and only 503,000 Floridians actively looking for work. Simply not enough active job seekers with the right skills to fill our open jobs. Preparing a strong workforce for the future is more important now than ever to help us reach our collective goals. It's our hope that Florida's current and future talent and job creators alike will have the best opportunity to succeed. So again, the topic of these webinars, especially critical and well-planned, Bill and Helene, how do you become the employer of choice? Going on to the next slide, this is a bit about who we are at CareerSource Florida. We serve as the Governor's Workforce Investment Board, focused on making sure that every Floridian has the opportunity to succeed through work. And as a result of COVID-19, we know that those individuals hardest hit in our state were our young people and those with less education. To fully recover, we are razor focused on these populations. And again, this is consistent with the Florida Chamber Foundation's Prosperity Initiative and enabling every community to play a role in recovery by addressing those needs by zip code. Their gap map, if you haven't seen it, is simply amazing. Going on to the next slide, this is our vision and mission. Our vision is to collaborate with business, education, community, and economic development leaders to make Florida the global leader for talent. And our mission, again, is to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and Floridians with employment and career development opportunities to achieve economic prosperity. And now about the next slide, the full CareerSource Florida network statewide, where local services are provided and programs are geared to individuals and businesses. Florida's a big state, and the North is as different from the Central as from the South. We're the third most populated state in the country, and so local boards are guided by their local leadership, and they have their fingers on the pulse of what is needed in their specific geographic area. Each has a common geographic locator in their name, so no matter where you are or where you live, we want to make sure that there is a common understanding of the services available statewide. And these areas are also aligned to our 28 state colleges and 48 technical schools. I'm proud to say that the network of workforce professionals like Brian and his team throughout the state kept providing much needed services throughout the pandemic and found ways to pivot to support our fellow Floridians and businesses. Last year, these professionals helped nearly 60,000 businesses statewide, including nearly 5,000 in manufacturing and in healthcare. and they assisted over 130,000 job seekers, placing them into employment. And of that number, nearly 8,000 were veterans that had given service to our country. So going on to the next slide, we're always thinking about how best to ensure companies and their workforce, existing and prospective, can succeed and prosper in Florida's economy. We speak often of engaging every individual that can work into work with notable career pathways, steps to continue to gain skills that lead to meaningful careers right here in our state. Bill, many of these areas are in our sweet spot. We want to make sure that those great jobs that people like you and Helene bring to our state can be filled with fellow Floridians. I must say, though, this need has become much more acute as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. So let me turn now to Brian to gain his perspectives on workforce impacts and what's ahead. So Brian, thinking about your regional area, which industry sectors were hardest hit in your community? And what are you seeing in terms of individuals returning to the workforce?
Well, thank you for the question, two-part question. I think, as we all know from the state, but in our area as well, hospitality was a big hit for us. Indian River County, St. Lucie, Martin, that is a big sector and a big industry for us that was hit pretty hard. But also, that a sector that was hit really hard was our manufacturing, our advanced manufacturing sector as well. Took a significant hit as products weren't being built, not necessarily needed at that time during the pandemic. So many of our manufacturers, who are small employers, 25 or less, 50 or less, were forced to shut down or seek aid, seek assistance to remain afloat. But those are our two main sectors that we saw here in the local areas impacted the most by COVID. Now, how is that transitioning now? How are we looking at our transition back in those sectors? I will say in the last unemployment report that's for May of 21, the industry sector that gained the most jobs over the year was hospitality, and they gained over 9,600 jobs in our 3 counties. So again, a lot of my data, even though we're talking about Indian River, my data is a lot of it is on the regional MSA, either St. Lucie County or Bureau and Sebastian. But the unemployment rate for Indian River County is at 5.3, so we're a little bit higher than Florida. The Research Coast itself is 5.0. We have currently 294,411 folks in the workforce. So we are seeing an uptick in the total workforce as compared to where we were a year ago. But we still have 15,000 folks that are reported in unemployment. So we still have a pool, but that pool isn't as large as we would like it to be, right? That's the hot button, the hot topic that we have right now is where are we finding the talent? We have all these jobs, but where are the people? So manufacturing as well was the other sector that I made mention about that was kind of hit hard during the pandemic, and we're seeing some improvements in that. But what we're really seeing within the manufacturing sector is those folks that were employed that lost their job during the pandemic are not able to return or have not come back. So that's the struggle we're having with our manufacturers right now, is to try to get that workforce to return to them.
Thank you, Brian. Mm-hmm. And I think I hear a bit of an echo, but as Florida economy now rebounds, what are your local employers looking for? What would they characterize as a qualified job candidate, and some of the competency skills important to them?
It's a great question. I think right now what I hear a lot where I go is they just want somebody that has what you talked about earlier, the employability skills, or sometimes referred to as soft skills, correct? I can train somebody, I can teach them on the day-to-days, but they need to have those soft skill competencies or those employability competencies so that they make that effort worthwhile. And that is where we try to focus. We have a local program here called Work Certified. It is a soft skills program. It teaches those skills that you mentioned, Andra, communication, how to present yourself in a meeting, how to present yourself, how to communicate with a supervisor, financial integrity, how to keep a checkbook. So, and we have the ability to break down or customize this program to serve a particular segment or population. For example, we have a youth component. We call it YES, Y-E-S-S, Youth Employability Skills Solutions. That is very successful in our youth component, which is one of our sectors of focus on who we serve. And I'll make a sidebar comment to that with Helene as she just completed her boot camp, her summer boot camp. We provide that YES class to those individuals that go through the boot camp.
Right.
So they get not only hired at the end, hopefully, but they also have those employability, there's those soft skills that are necessary for them to be successful in any position that they go into. Hopefully that it's a career path position, but at least they have those building blocks. And those employability skills are the start of that foundation for the building blocks.
That's fantastic, Brian, because as you know, and I mentioned in my opening remarks, when we look at the data about which sectors, but also which individuals were hardest hit by the pandemic, it was our youth and those with less education. So congratulations to you and your team for really taking a hard look at those soft skills, those employability skills, vital to any job success, both entry and as you advance throughout your career.
Yes.
I just want to give a sidebar plug again to the Florida Chamber Foundation. This pandemic has really wreaked havoc throughout states' economies, throughout states' businesses and workforce. And of course, data is essential to really developing solid solutions for moving forward. Well, the Florida Chamber Foundation and its state economist, Dr. Jerry Parrish, just published yesterday and released their Workforce 2030 report just prior to the pandemic. Dr. Parrish and the Chamber team published a 2030 workforce report. That was in January 2020. Well, the world is completely different and changed now. So he has updated that report by MSAs in Florida, looking at where the opportunities are and how we can really help those individuals most adversely impacted transition into those great jobs, Bill, that you described. So I myself am so eager to do a deeper dive in this analysis. The MZ team, economic modeling organization, helped him with the data analysis, so more to come on that. So Brian, we are both employed by the CareerSource Florida broader ecosystem, right? 24 local boards and myself at the state level at the CareerSource Florida motherboard, if you will. But talent and talent development doesn't reside just with us, right? There is a broader ecosystem. So can you share with us how your board works with that broader ecosystem? And what I mean by that is education, community development, even faith-based organizations, to really ensure that we're all rowing in the same direction and trying to provide that talent that Bill's companies so desperately need.
Sure, thank you. And that's a great segue into what I am most proud of as far as collaboration with among all of our stakeholders in the 3 counties. We developed, I believe it was 2-3 years ago, the Workforce Readiness Task Force. In this task force, it's a regional collaboration made up of stakeholders to include education partners. When I say education, I'm talking CTEs within our school districts. I'm talking our state college, Indian River State College, our technical college in Indian River County, Treasure Coast Technical College, our other universities such as Kaiser. So you have all your educational partners at the table. You also have our associations such as the Treasure Coast Manufacturing Association. You have a new member is in the Marine Association. You have Treasure Coast Builders Association. And I would be remiss to not mention our economic development partners. We have our economic development partners from all three counties sitting at the table. But most important, we have private business or business representation on this board or this group, this panel. They meet monthly and they talk about these very things. They talk about where's the talent, what sectors, how are we going to address the talent shortage, how are we going to brand what we're trying to accomplish here regionally as part of initiative. We look at skills gaps. We completed another skills gap study on a regional perspective. So we're actually at 2.1. We did a post-COVID. We actually had one coming prior to COVID, and we did a little post-COVID. So that is where I think a lot of the meat and potatoes is really starting to get discussed at a group level, right? At a regional group level with all the stakeholders having a say. They're hearing and listening what's going on in the industry sectors that you have employers at the table talking about. And those employers actually go into subsectors and they talk about their industry and bring it back to the group as a whole. So what might be good working well in healthcare was not thought about in the skilled trades that maybe could be applicable in the skilled trades industry as far as how to search for talent or how to develop talent. From this group has come our State of the Jobs Conference. We're going to be hosting our third State of the Jobs Conference, which is another way of educating and informing our young adults as they get ready to move into the work environment, the work world, that might not be heading to college, not quite sure what they want to do. And that State of the Jobs Conference allows them the opportunity to interact with employers in all sectors that are focused for us here in our area, have a chance to chat with them, hands-on, see what goes on in a particular industry sector. And we focus on 6 sectors, and they're those sectors that are in our WYOA local plan. So that's what I think is working really well here in our area. We have that communication lines. Of course, communication can always be better. We can always strive to be better communication-wise, but at least I think we have that door and we can start walking through those doors. We've established a medium that we have the ability to have a singular platform for everybody to come and have that conversation and kind of break down that segment or silo, and everybody is one big group right now. So very proud of that. And I think we're making great strides as we move into year 3 and 4 with that. I will mention one thing that is coming that we're very excited with is we've actually are going to be presenting tomorrow a singular website that's not anybody's in particular. It is Treasure Coast Connect's website. It's all about providing information to anybody, whether you're an employer, you're a potential job seeker, you're an education partner, or you're just somebody that's looking at the area to say, maybe I want to move here. And it's going to be more of an informational site based on industry sector. And it will then lead you into different silos as necessary. It depends on where you go. So very excited to see the response that we get from that. But that was one thing that the task force recognized and said is a necessity for us, is we need to have a central repository that everybody can go to that gets some information on whatever it is they're looking for when it comes to the workforce development arena.
Oh, I can't wait to review that website. Congratulations, Brian.
We use some of that wonderful sector grant funding you gave us from CareerSource Florida. So
That
thank
is
you for that.
wonderful. That is wonderful. Really kind of a no wrong door, right?
That's,
You don't
that is
website.
correct.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned all of the partners that are in this strong collaboration. And again, that's wonderful. Our governor is also very focused on career and technical education as well. Are there some specific examples that you would bring forward about your work with your local school districts or even your state colleges? Any successful activities in that realm?
Sure. One that I would love to tout, and I tout it as often as I can, is our partnership with Treasure Coast Technical College. Christy Shields, who's the principal over there. They function and serve as the adult education partner for Indian River County, so they receive that funding. We have a wonderful LPN program that runs through them that I would say 99.9% of the individuals that go through her LPN class go to work as soon as they graduate, and they're usually going to work at Cleveland Clinic or surrounding medical partners that are up in Indian River County. As you know, healthcare is not necessarily a shortage, it's the capacity issue. That's the only one that's kind of flipped for our area. It's not that we can't find them, it's that we just can't train them fast enough. So that's the only sector that we have that's a different component with regards to the pipelines. So very proud of that. They are also expanding. They have a welding program, and we're looking forward to continuing our partnerships with them, but very proud of that. We're also building relationships with St. Lucie County School District. We actually have 2 pre-apprenticeship programs that they applied for grant funding last year in collaboration and partnership with us, that their pre-apprenticeships that are being taught in the school then feed into our apprenticeship programs for manufacturing. And they also have the marine one. So they have a marine that will hopefully filter up into the marine apprenticeships that are coming here with the new employers that are coming to the 3 counties. So as you can see, you're starting to see the pipeline work being done, right? So you're starting to develop that pipeline of individuals that can go into work. And we're looking for, with our state college, we also have a partnership with Indian River State College and their corporate training center. They are actually complete our classroom related instruction component to our industrial manufacturing technician apprenticeship. So that is very crucial to the success of that apprenticeship. It hasn't been mentioned yet, but I will mention it. We, as a local area and a board, as Andra knows, have been kind of the pilot or pioneer or guinea pig, however you want to use the phrase, whatever phrase you want to use when it comes to apprenticeships. When that first came about 3 or 4 years ago, we really jumped on board with the apprenticeship opportunities. And I'm happy to say that under CareerSource's sponsorship, we now have 4 registered apprenticeships within the Department of Education for Florida. So we're looking to improve that. We actually are looking right now at IT. That's another hot topic. We have one in manufacturing. We have one in skilled trades. We're looking at healthcare. We'll see how that kind of flows. But we're very excited about where we're at right now with our apprenticeship opportunities. And I want to thank the state board for allowing that grant opportunities for us to put those projects on so that we can get the seed money and get those started. So yeah, we're doing great things. We're doing great things. You know, IRSC, they're being very, very, they're going after the dollars as well. And we're partnering with them in a Florida Rebuilds project that is tied to certain skilled trades components, HVAC, plumbing, electric, and another partner here called Project Lift. They're based out of Martin County, but they're a small training provider, but they also include an aspect of mental health. And they serve those hardest to serve youth as well that have been incarcerated. So they have a target sector, but that doesn't mean we can't look at that overall arching program and project and say, how can we expand that? So that's what we're looking at doing now, as well as the youth build. IRSC received funding again for a youth build project under WIOA. So we're very excited to partner with them on that.
That is so helpful. And again, I just want to commend you and your team. To Brian's credit, when we began looking at the value of registered apprenticeships and bringing forward that long-term talent pipeline solution, I must say we could spell apprenticeships, but that was pretty much all that we knew. And we took the lead with professionals like Brian to really eliminate obstacles related to apprenticeship, opening up the window, the aperture of all the different kinds of apprenticeships that could be done. They're not just reserved for construction and skills trades. They're available in all of the key sectors that are very, very important to us. Aviation, aerospace, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, as you've mentioned, Brian, IT for sure. And again, our governor is very focused on growing the number of registered apprenticeships in our state. The Florida Chamber Foundation, again, on their scorecard has a tile specifically identifying the number of apprentices currently in our state. And for a state as large as Florida, I think we can only go up. There's so much more that we can do together with our state apprenticeship agency housed in the Florida Department of Education, the advanced training representatives all across the state that help make sure that this opportunity is brought to our young people, transitioning adults, but also businesses as well. And we're proud that we launched, with the input of the CareerSource Florida Network, Apprentice Florida. And there, businesses can identify opportunities. Young people, transitioning adults, can identify opportunities through apprenticeships. And I think only more will be done in that area. And if you think about it, all of us have been apprentices, maybe with a small a, in our career. Helene, you're a certified economic developer, as I am, but we had to begin our journey at a lower wage, gain skills and competencies, learn the profession leading to that certification, right? And so you can probably think in your own careers where you began your journey into the workforce, the career pathways that you encountered, and where you are now. Michelle Dennard, our president CEO, also an attorney, likens her role in becoming an attorney to a registered apprenticeship. You learn along the way, getting your Juris Doctorate degree. So I thank you for that. And I also want to thank you, Brian, for your leadership in the apprenticeship realm. You really were a pioneer in the area. We love to tell your story and all the great things that you're doing to support businesses with this time-tested earn and learn model. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Thank you. I did also want to mention, Andra, thank you for that. But we couldn't have done it without, we always have great ideas, but we need the funding. And we want to thank you all for those opportunities to at least get that started. But I also did want to make mention, another area that is on the governor's top list is the Small Business Development Council and the funding that they're putting in for the Small Business Development Council. Because let's be honest, we can all talk about these large employers, but where we really see success is in our small business. And I think that is going to be a focus for our area, our task force, and we're going to have those conversations with our economic development partners on how can we better implement and better support our Small Business Development Council here locally so that we can address those needs as well. Because I think one thing that we're seeing that came out of the pandemic is that individuals like the fact that they can work from home. They like the flexibility of working from home, and they're looking at that, I want to be my own boss and I want to start my own company. So I think that you're going to see a lot more emphasis on that moving forward. So that's one thing that we've got on our radar to make sure that we start having those conversations with as well. Didn't mean to interrupt, Helene, but that was in my head and I had to get it out.
Oh, I thank you for that. You pulled at my heartstrings. I am a product of small business. And if we look at the track record of small business with regard to job creation, you are spot on. Since 2015, small businesses have accounted for 60% of our net job growth. And I think helping small businesses prosper and grow is very vital to our state's economy. In fact, Helene and Bill, there was a wonderful article posted by a site selection consultant, Dean Barber. I know you know him, Helene. And it talked about the opportunity ahead, and really states that really focus on making their existing businesses flourish and grow through workforce development, talent pipeline strategies like apprenticeships and other work-based learning models, and also entrepreneurship as well. To your point, some great ideas are had by our fellow Floridians, and enabling them to take that next step to hang out their shingle and add additional workers to their payroll is a fantastic strategy. Something, again, that Florida has done really well in doing and creating small business. So I agree, the Small Business Development Network is doing everything that they can to ensure that we help small businesses prosper. Going on, Brian, in respect of time, because I do want the opportunity to leave time for questions. If there are any few things that you would want this business audience to hear from our discussion, what are those key takeaways? What's most important for them to remember? Of course, you've mentioned the great resources and programs that you've deployed in your region. Also, more things ahead. You have pivoted unbelievably well, you and your professional team, to make sure that you're doing all you can in that area. What's the most important thing that, or things that you'd like this audience to remember?
For me, it's to continue to have that collaboration and that partnership amongst all stakeholders. Workforce development has become, if not it has always been, but it has been the tool or the product of economic development, right? That is now more and more, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe not, maybe I'm dating myself, but that conversation really wasn't intertwined, right? It was economic development trying to find business to bring to your area, and then you talked about workforce later. Well, now they're hand in hand. And an example of is that we go on site visits, and with, we have a group that's all together, and we go out of state and talk to other individuals, and they're like, workforce is at the table with your economic development. Wow, that's crazy. We're like, well, that's how it should be, because you can't have one without the other. So I hope that for businesses that are here, that are from the chamber, or as they look at this video, that they want to get involved in the conversations that we're having on a regional basis. Don't be afraid to be asked to be invited to a meeting, or talk about what's hard or difficult, or what obstacles you all are having, because I guarantee you're not the only one, and that we probably could come to some sort of solution, or try to work together to find that solution. So I would say just making sure that we keep that communication open amongst all partners and all stakeholders. That, and to get our word out, branding. We're always about marketing and branding, and we need to do it on a regional basis. Yes, each county is different. I get it. I understand it. But, my brothers and sisters are all around in Indian River, St. Lucie, and Martin. And I think what's good for Indian River that might be St. Lucie County residents, they're coming to work for you in Indian River County, and vice versa. So those imaginary lines or medians are gone. Those days are long gone. We need to think regionally. We need to continue to think regionally, because it will help us all in the long run. So that would be it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I couldn't agree more. What can we do better together? These are our communities, our homes, our state. Of course, we're very competitive too. I know Helene quite well. I know Brian quite well too. And we want to be the best at what we do. And we want to be the best in making sure we deliver skilled talent to our businesses that need it. So Helene, Bill, we've got a few minutes for questions. What questions can we answer for you?
Thank you. Very good presentation, Andra and Brian. Does anybody have any questions? Raise your hand or type them into the chat box.
Actually, I have a question.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Brian, you mentioned a URL that you are launching, kind of an information site. Can you tell us what that URL is?
I'd be happy to send it to Helene, who can send it out to you, because I probably will get it wrong, but I think it's connecttc.com, but don't hold me to it. I make sure I'll get that to you, because they're going to do the launch. It's not live yet, so they're going to do the promo presentation. If you'd like to see that presentation, you're more than welcome to join our Workforce Readiness Task Force presentation tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. They'll be launching that presentation tomorrow. So be happy to send you that link or provide that link to that meeting.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, this was excellent. Some of the takeaways for me is, Brian, you made a good point that the workforce is regional. We draw our county lines, but we do know the workforce is regional. I was interested that manufacturing took a hit during the pandemic, the employment manufacturing, as we all know about hospitality. You hit a number of 15,000 unemployed on the Treasure Coast. I thought that was interesting. And gosh, the most basic skills are what you call the employability skills of communicating and listening. And I like to say, show up to work on time. And drug-free workplace doesn't mean free drugs in the workplace. It's a big difference, right? And the local workforce resources that we have that are out there that are very good. And I will tell you what we have experienced is the work from home is changing our workforce, and it's going to change the workforce around the country. Still don't know what that looks like yet, but it really is a big trend, and some like it and some don't, but it's with us. So with that, unless there's any other questions, we'll wrap it up. And thank you again, Brian and Andra, for your great comments and great presentation. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I
It was
had
our
a question.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye now.